don't know, Kasa Rustica began a few months ago, and we've just been trying to throw out there some videos on the best ways that we use to save, to budget, help you purchase your first home the best way possible. So obviously throughout the process, you try to save on home projects and save on tools, etc., etc. And Kasa Rustica is also about sharing some knowledge and some positive feedback on those of you that want to continue to progress in life and excel, and just need some guidance and some wisdom. I wish, when I was 20, someone would have told me the things that I know today. So that's why we decided to make this channel. So again, stay tuned. This is gonna be a really inside look on how I budget and how we plan day-to-day our expenses. So this is my binder, portfolio scheduler, expense tracker, goals tracker, etc. Everything is in here. Everything having to do with bills and savings and our plans and our future goals are all in this portfolio. And I got this black portfolio. It's leather, and I got it on Amazon. It was about $10. But it has zippers and it has a calculator, and in here I just keep my highlighters, and I go over the highlighter method that I use in my savings video if you're interested. But we'll go ahead into detail on how I budget and exactly what we do. So I have January, February, March, April. So I'm gonna show you our July budget. And this is actually a template that I put together. So I am, for those of you that have been watching, I am gonna put together a final of a planner that I'm working on, and a sample will be coming out. So I do want to share that with you guys if you guys are interested. After this video, I hope that the way that I budget and the way that I plan really helps you guys. So if you're interested in that planner, please comment down below or let me know. But here is our July expense tracker. And what I do is I write down all the bills right here on this side. And then here are all the due dates. So I write all the due dates for the entire month right here. So this is, again, July. Here is what I am budgeting to pay for each of the bills. So just a tip is some of the bills that you have, you might want to round off, just so in that account, or if it's a savings or whatever that expense is, you could probably, the remainder of it, save it. So for example, something like a mortgage. So for us, our mortgage is a certain amount, but we do like $300 over that, and we save that. And although we don't need it, but we leave it in there, so it just accumulates and accumulates month to month, and those are considered our house expense savings. So that's your budget line right here. That's what you budget for the month. Up here that I'm covering, just so you know, that's our income. That's one thing I'm not gonna share with every single person in the entire world, but I will share our expenses. So here we put our income, we put our budget for the month as far as expenses here, and here as we pay off each of the bill, these are our actual expenses. So this really shows what you actually pay for and what you actually saved. And I hope you can see that. So I hope that was helpful. So then down here on the bottom is where you would write, right here you would have your income, right here you have your expenses, and then down here is kind of what you're budgeting to have remaining, and this is at the end the actual that you have remaining. And remember, inside that budget, I already budgeted an extra $300 just on the house savings. So if you can save a little more on your other bills, you can just continue to save those little by little. So that's that for the expense tracker. So that's the second page, the planner. Right here, I actually put together a calendar. So you have your monthly calendar. You write down your bills, you write down when they're due. I also write little goals, but it really helps us stay organized. It helps us check off goals month to month. We're working on something and we're just not letting things pile up. But you want to just have those things written down so you know to, make sure you do those things. So that's that for that. That's the beginning of it, the expense tracker. And then back here, so you have your expenses, but then you also want to make sure that you have your miscellaneous expenses. So things like gas, like you having to buy household items, toilet paper, detergent, sprays, etc. Food here are things that you would have to spend money on. And you have your fun date right here. So things like we do with the family or when we go out. All right, guys, so under your miscellaneous expenses, you wanna just calculate your income minus your expenses, minus your miscellaneous, and then whatever you have remaining, you also wanna see where you wanna save that. So that's the best way. You are covering, your miscellaneous things. So if you wanna travel, if you wanna go out with your family, you cover it through here. And you're already planning for that money. So you have that money there. If you don't spend it, throw it into savings. Your remaining balance here, throw what you can into savings or splurge on what you like. But I find that this method really helps us and really helps us save, especially if we have it all written down and we have everything planned. Those are my kids fighting in the background. All right, guys, so right here you have your savings tracker. So on the top, you just want to write your starting balance, what month it's for. And here I got a little lazy with this one. I usually just week to week write down how much we're going to save and the date and then color it in. So that's kind of what you want it to look like. If you need to change things, you can. But it just kind of gives you some motivation in completing the jar, and then the different colors. And you can even have your kids help you color it in, and it kind of makes it a fun family savings goal. This also helps you save. So what I actually do, just so you guys know, a little tip from me is the income that we bring home. The way that I calculate the bills and expenses is that I actually put aside an extra $200 a week from our entire paycheck. So every week, $200 of that goes straight into savings, and that's what this jar is. It's those $200 a week every month. I then calculate the expenses just using that income. So aside from the $200 that I have, that amount of income is what I'm gonna use to pay the expenses. So I also have that savings. I budgeted a little more for my expenses, so that's another way of saving month to month. And then the remaining of what I have after expenses and miscellaneous expenses, I try to save half of that too. So in a month frame, you could really try to save a lot of money. And the other piece of it is really try to condense your bills, try to get them as low as you can, because the less you spend on bills, the more you can save. And I know we all struggle with bills. Do your best to try to keep your debt really, really low, try to keep your bills really, really low, and try to save as best you can. It is obviously difficult, but with any income, you can really save. And stay tuned for my next video, because I will go more into detail on the challenges and also how much percentage of your income should you save to try to be as successful as you can. You also want to have your monthly goals. Okay, so for here in July, we didn't have any goals because for the month of June, we had some big goals that we've been working on. So we did complete most of these goals, but it did kind of trickle over to July. And these monthly goals we now have in a separate book because we're really working hard on those. And we'll keep sharing more of those, so stay tuned for more of that. So then aside from that, you have your expense spending log. So what I do is I write everything down, and my budget days are really Monday morning. So right before work, I make a pot of coffee and I sit down and I calculate all my bills before I head to work. And then Friday morning, I do the same thing. I calculate all my bills and I just bring up the laptop, look through my bank statement, and try to catch up and see what I spent. And the idea for this is that it makes you really conscious of what you're spending. It's really hard to spend. You don't just save out of thin air. You have to be intentional about saving. So things like this and budgeting and writing it down and saying, all right, this month I'm gonna save $200. Next month I'm gonna save $250, and just trying to up it from there really helps you save. So when you track your expenses, you then start to look like, wow, did I really spend $200 on ordering out this week? And then you just kind of sit there like, whoa, So these are really helpful in keeping track of that. And then at the end of the month, what I do is highlight all of them in different categories. And at the end of it, I add them all up. So as you see, these are each week. I get paid weekly. So you probably want to do each paycheck that you get paid. So if you get paid bi-weekly, you would probably do 2 of these expense trackers and just track it for however long until your next pay period. So then from there, you calculate everything. And really what this falls down to, my colors fall down to my miscellaneous expenses. So it falls down here. The blue, that's my gas, which you'll see here, gas. All of those colors, I add them up and I put them on here. And then that's just how everything just falls into place. At the end of it, which again in July, we weren't the best because we were really working on some things, but this is my sinking funds. And a little tip for this is at the end of each week or each month, whatever you spend money on, we try to spend cash. Whatever we have left over from that amount of cash, we'll throw into our sinking funds, and that's another way for us to save. We actually have a safe that we just throw change and dollars, etc. in there, and at the end of the month, that's another way of us to save. Those are all the tricks to save, guys. That's the end, but this is pretty much the planner that I'm working on. At the end of each planner, there will be a spot where you would write down all your passwords, your utility accounts, any accounts that you might need to pay your bills. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it really helps you save. Those are my helpful tips, guys. I hope that you guys can put those tips into play. I hope that I can put together a planner for some of you, and hope that you guys find a great way to save. It's not easy. It's really a hard thing to do for everyone, and a lot of us never really got the guidance for it. So if you know any tricks, please comment down below, share the knowledge, share the wealth. And stay tuned for more of these videos, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like these videos and you would like to see more. Bye, guys.